The standard of the month on my YouTube channel and Patreon page is Mood Indigo. Now, check the description for a link to the PDFs from today, and I'm going to show you the chords and run through that harmony. And if you want to go deeper with this one, there's tons of additional content on my Patreon page, including a chord melody. Now, let's get on with the lesson. So Mood Indigo, it's kind of like a bluesy ballad if you like, very melancholic. Its form is A, B, A, B. It breaks down into those nice chunks of 8 bars in each section, giving us 32 bars in total. Now if you check the real book, it's written out in the key of A flat, but you'll find the majority of versions are in B flat, and I've written it in that key for all the purposes of today's lesson. Now what does the key of B flat mean? B flat means the following chords when you harmonise a B flat major scale. So a B flat major scale being B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. Building chords off each of those gives us chord 1, B flat major 7, chord 2, C minor 7, chord 3, D minor 7, chord 4, E flat major 7, chord 5, F7, chord 6, G minor 7, chord 7, A minor 7 flat 5, back to chord 1, B flat major 7. Now we're going to use a few of those chords and a few other common out of key chords, borrowed chords if you like. And the chord shapes you're going to need to play this one are as follows. A flat 13. If you find this chord tricky, most people find it tricky barring the little finger at the bottom, then just play the B string with the little finger and don't worry about the note on the E string. So you can do that or that. A major 7. Use the same shape, a fret higher, semitone higher, B flat major 7. Off the same root, B flat 7. And take that 2 frets higher for a C7. And then off the A string, we're going to need E flat 6, 9. First finger's barring 2 notes there. F7 off the A string, and then the plus, F plus, the next chord, is an F augmented chord, which is where you get a major triad and you sharpen the 5th. Sounds like that. And then G flat 7, we use the F7 shape again for this. And G7, just move up a semitone. And that's all the shapes we're going to use. So let me run through the chords for you. So the first 8 bars, we start out on B flat major 7 for 2 beats. Then we shunt it down a fret to an A major 7 and then back up to B flat major 7. So it's going B flat, A, B flat, 1, 2, 3, 4, to a C7 for a whole bar. Then half a bar of F7, and then you'll see F plus, which you may have come across before. That's an F augmented chord. It's where you have a root third, major third, and you have a sharp 5. This sound, classic sound, really great sound. Back to B flat major 7 to F7. So we play that line again. That's the first 4 bars. Then what we're moving on to then is doing the same again, but instead of going to F7 we go G flat 7 to F7. So first 8 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4. B flat A, then C, F7, F augmented, B flat, F7. B flat down to A, back to B flat, C, G flat 7 to F7. That's your first A section. So the next 8 bars, the B section starts on a B flat 7 for 2 bars to E flat 6, 9 to A flat 13. Now if you find A flat 13 tricky, because it is a fiddly chord, you could just play A flat 7 instead, so just ignore the little finger altogether, or just have the little finger on the B string instead of the 2 strings at the bottom. We're then going to go back to B flat to the A and back up again to C7, F7, F augmented, flat 7, 2 bars, to E flat 6, 9, A flat 13, B flat, A, B flat, C, F7, F augmented, B flat, F7. Now the second A section is basically a variation on the first one. You'll see there's one difference, and we have a G7 in the first sort of section. So we go 2 beats on B flat, then 2 beats on G7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, C7 as normal, F7, F augmented as normal, B flat back to F7, do the B flat to G7 again, to C7, but like in the first A section, go to G flat 7 to F7. Let me play that again for you. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that G flat 7, sorry, the G7 just brings in a little additional movement and variation. We then get another B section which is the same as the one before, so 2 bars of B flat 7, E flat 6, 9 to A flat 13, then B flat to the A and back, F7, F augmented, B flat, F7, then if we're going to finish the song, B flat, major 7 or 6, 9, B flat 6, whatever you want to do, just finish on a B flat chord. So we've run through the chord shapes and the form, and I've been through the chords in order. Now let me play it through all the way through slowly for you, and you could work up towards playing along with me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Dealt with the chords, now let's try and understand how these chords are functioning. So let's try and figure out what's going on with those chords. Earlier I said we're in the key of B flat, and B flat meant the following chords. Chord 1, B flat major 7, C minor 7, chord 2, chord 3, D minor 7, chord 4, E flat major 7, chord 5, F7, chord 6, G minor 7, chord 7, A minor 7 flat 5, back to chord 1. Which of those chords have we got? We've got B flat major 7 occurring quite a few times. We haven't got the 2 chord as a minor, we've got it as a dominant, which we'll come to. We haven't got a D bass chord, D minor or D7. We haven't got E flat major 7, but we have got E flat 6, 9, which is a variation of a major chord, so we have got chord 4. We've definitely got plenty of F7, chord 5. We haven't got G minor 7, but we do have G7, and we don't have the A minor 7 flat 5. So on the chart I've labelled in key chords as blue and anything out of key as red, so it's nice and visual for you. Now we start out in the first A section on chord 1, B flat major 7, and then we go to chord 7 but as a major chord. So that's a borrowed chord if you like, and then back to chord 1. Now this is where I think really it's just following the melody. And as always, some people don't play the A major 7, I quite like it. I think it sounds nice. We then go to a C chord, but we go to C7, not C minor 7, which is the 2 chord in this key. So this is what you'd call a secondary dominant, because you only get one dominant in a key, and that is F7 in this key, chord 5. Why have we got C7? C7 is the dominant of F. Take an F scale, F, G, A, B flat, C. We build dominance off the 5th note, so C7 is the dominant of F7. So it leads perfectly to that chord. So we're on chord 5, F7. Then we get chord 5 as an augmented chord, which we'll talk about in a second. Then back to chord 1, back to chord 5. Now, why does that augmented chord work so well? Listen. What you end up with, you've got F7, and in the voicing there we've got the 7th on the top. Then this F augmented, it's got that sharp 5, that augmented quality on the top with the index finger. That is a D flat, C sharp. That is a semitone below the 3rd of B flat. So you get that resolution in the next chord, which is super strong, like minor 3rd to major 3rd, essentially, like the blues. Then back to chord 5. The next 4 bars, we go chord 1, 7 as a major, back to chord 1, secondary dominant, chord 2. Then we get a G flat 7, go into F7. F7 is obviously the 5 chord, but the G flat 7, we don't get a G flat in this key. We get a G, which would be 6, and that would be G minor. So I've labelled this as a flat 6 dominant chord. So it's another secondary dominant chord. It's a semitone above this F7. It's really working like a tritone, because G flat is the dominant of, is the tritone, sorry, of C7. That's something I don't want to get into today, but if that's a topic you've not come across, I've made a series of videos on that, so I'll put them in the description. So that falls lovely down, you know, that G flat sounds more tense. It's got a really nice fall into the 5 chord. So that's the first section. Now the B section for me does a classic move from the blues, which is, you know, chord 1 as a dominant moving to the 4 chord. We start on a B flat 7, so it's another secondary dominant turning chord 1 into a dominant. Now, what you got to know with any dominant chord that's not the 5 chord in the key is where it likes to go. And B flat is the 5th, B flat 7, sorry, is the 5th chord in the key of E flat. So it's a great way to move to the 4th chord. If you turn chord 1 into a dominant, it moves really nicely to chord 4. So B flat 7 for 2 bars. So chord 1 is a dominant. Moving to chord 4, E flat 6, 9. And then we get this A flat 13. Now, A flat 13, think of it basically as functioning like a dominant chord in the same way as like an A flat 7, A flat 9, and so forth. Now, this is a tone below the note B flat. And this is something very common. It's the flat 7, 7. So if you think about the B flat major scale, the 7th note was an A. So we're going to flatten that, call it the flat 7. And this is what's referred to as the backdoor dominant. It's another way to get back to chord 1. And you know, you've got several ways you can get back to chord 1. Probably the most common being obviously the 5 chord. So in this key, that would be F7. Then you've got the tritone. But also another classic one would be the backdoor dominant, a tone below your target chord. So if you say had a C chord, that was chord 1. A tone below that is a B flat 7. So you do B flat 7 to C instead of the more traditional G7 to C, which would be 5 to 1. So that line, chord 1 is a dominant, which is the dominant of E flat, chord 4. Then we get the backdoor dominant, the flat 7, 7, leading us back to this line we know well, which is the same analysis as earlier. On to the second A section where we just got that G7 that we add in, starting on chord 1, then G7. So the chord built off a G in the key of B flat would be G minor 7. So this is another secondary dominant. So I've written it as a 6, 7. What's it the dominant of? G7 likes to go to C. Lo and behold, the next chord is a C7. Then we get the usual F7, F augmented, B flat to F, so that's all the same as earlier. Back to B chord 1 to chord 6 as a dominant, and C7, then the G flat 7, so the flat 6 dominant to F7. And then we get the reprise of the B section, so B flat 7, chord 1 as a dominant, to E flat 6 9, chord 4, to the backdoor dominant, flat 7 7, back to the 1 7 as a major, 1 2 as a dominant, 5 augmented 5 1 5, finish on 1. So I think just things to pick out there, just looking at the chart on the screen that you can download as from my website. I think the key lesson there is the value in knowing your dominants, knowing that B flat 7 is the dominant of E flat, that chord 1, turn it into a dominant, it takes you to chord 4. Chord 2 as a dominant takes you to chord 5. Chord 6 as a dominant takes you to chord 2, and so on. Now, if you'd like to learn more about this song, then there's tons of additional stuff on my Patreon page. In the first tier, you get the chord melody, which will be the next video I upload. You also get access to the recommended listening playlist, Spotify playlist, and also a backing track. For the second tier, you get that, what we just had at the first tier, plus also a chord tone study where you get to practice how to use your arpeggios, and also a comping study, which this month is all about drop 2 chord voicings. And finally, the top tier, there's everything I've already mentioned, plus a beginner's solo and an intermediate solo. So if that's something you'd like to check out, then please do check the link in the description. There's tons of stuff over there to really help you develop all the essential skills you need to improve jazz guitar. Anyway, any questions, you leave them below. Anything I've mentioned today that you've not grasped, I'll put another video up on the screen related to one of today's topics, the lesson on the backdoor dominant, if you've not come across that before, and another classic Duke Ellington standard that I think everyone should know in a sentimental mood. Anyway, until next time, you take care.